Hi there, good afternoon, and you are here live with Lunch with Hirok. Welcome for my Friday talk. If you find this talk to be beneficial for you, please send out hearts and likes, and please share it with all your friends so that they may also be educated on having a better health and great nutrition. Today's topic is the sumo wrestler myth and the French paradox myth. Okay, the sumo wrestler myth. What is it? Okay, this is how it works. The average, it basically revolves around this problem, which is people who do not eat breakfast, all right? People who don't eat breakfast. The sumo wrestler myth works out this way. Hi, Sakaravaro, welcome on board. The way the sumo wrestler myth works is this. A lot of people think, hi, Uncle Caesar, welcome on board. The way a lot of people think is that if they skip breakfast and then they work out a lot and then they have a lunch and a dinner, they'll lose weight. This is the sumo wrestler myth. Now, the reason it is called the sumo wrestler myth is because it showcases the one thing that sumo wrestlers, what happens to them. You know that sumo wrestlers are these gigantic behemoths, right? They are huge, and you have to wonder how they became so huge, right? Is it something wrong with their DNA, or is it because they have a particular type of DNA? Hi, Emily, welcome on board. Actually, they're not, right? They're actually, Japanese are actually very, very thin and very, very small people. But how do they become such gigantic sumo wrestlers? Now, this is how it works. The sumo wrestler myth, okay? These sumo wrestlers are basically country boys who are young, and that's where they start. They bring in these country boys when they are very, very young, and they go through a very strict regime. Their strict regime starts with the following thing. They wake up early in the morning, and they have no breakfast, and then they work out for 5 hours. For 5 hours, they exercise. They go through a very strict regime of exercises to build up their body strength, etc. Now, at the end of it, they're very tired and they're very, very hungry. So at about lunchtime, they will have their first meal of the day, which is this gigantic amount of rice and this specially made stew, which is very protein rich. The protein rich stew will have everything. It will have tofu, it will have, hello, Hoyin, how are you? Long time no see, welcome on board. And Anne as well, welcome on board. And what happens is that these sumo wrestlers, after they have worked out for 5 hours, they'll come on board. Hi Cheryl, welcome on board. And then they will have their first meal of the day at about 12 o'clock, which is a high protein rich diet, which is full of nourishing soup and noodles and meat. So they'll have pork, chicken, tofu, and all this kind of stuff inside this gigantic big bowl of broth. Okay, and then on top of this, they'll have a gigantic amount of rice. Now what happens is after they've eaten so much, they feel tired and then they go to sleep. And then next thing you know is when they wake up, it's time for dinner. And then they have dinner. Hi Roger, welcome on board. They have dinner, and then what they do is after having their dinner, they go back to sleep. And then the next day they wake up, same thing, wake up very early in the morning, and they work out for 5 hours, and then they have their first meal of the day at lunchtime. And this carries on for God knows how many years. And next thing you know, they at their tender age of 28, they became a huge, humongous 7 feet, 6 feet, 8 feet tall sumo wrestler. But don't forget, they actually started out at a tender age of 10, 12 years old, and they started on this regime. So, what this one works out as, it works out this way. If you are on this kind of sumo wrestler diet, which is you wake up in the morning, you go to work without having a breakfast or anything like that, and then your first meal of the day starts at lunchtime, and then you feel very tired because you're actually very hungry and you eat, and then by the time it's about 3, 4 o'clock, you feel very sleepy, you have a little nap, and then you wake up, and then you go home, and then you have your dinner, and then you go to sleep. If you do this, you will become a sumo wrestler, you'll become fat, you will become very big, and you will not understand why you're not slimming down. So the main thing here is the sumo wrestler myth. People who skip breakfast tend to become fat. Don't do this, it's not good for you. Okay, second one, the French paradox myth. The French paradox myth works this way. You know how the French is, right? They eat small meals throughout the day. And then what happens is they walk a lot. Okay, basically the French paradox myth works like this. They are saying that the French drink wine and have butter and they become slim, but that is not how it works. The French paradox myth basically states this way, but it is not true. So if we compare the American diet with the French diet, this is how it happens. In France, the entire city, the entire country is made to make you slim down. How? How the French eat is very simple. They have small meals throughout the day. They never eat until they are full. They always go and do shopping every single day. Their meals are whole foods. None of them is processed foods. Thirdly, they walk everywhere they go because the streets are so narrow that you can't drive in them. It's impossible. So in small villages and small cities, they will go early in the morning to the market, the local market, purchase the local fruit produce. They'll bring it back home, they'll cook it, they'll eat it. And one thing about the French is they really enjoy having their food. Even though their life revolves around food, they enjoy their food. That means they take a longer time to chew, eat it, and spend time with their families. This is the French way of eating compared to the American way of eating, which is American cities and American suburbs are built in such a way that you can drive from one place to another. Americans are very overworked. They have hardly enough time to spend having lunch or dinner or breakfast with their families. They will go to a gigantic shopping mall and purchase for the entire week. And then what happens? Most of them will purchase things off the shelf, which is processed foods. Americans spend more time eating in their car at their desk than eating with family and friends. And this leads to a very bad lifestyle. Their lifestyle is completely different from the French. So even if they drink their wine and alcohol and have butter, they're not going to go slim. It doesn't work that way. So this is the difference between the French paradox myth and the American way of lifestyle. So even in Singapore now, you can find a lot of my friends and my family members. What they do is they spend their time eating at work, all right? They rush with a small breakfast or very carb-intensive breakfast, and then they go down to work, and then by the time it comes down to lunchtime, they still have work to do. They will order takeaway. All right, they'll order takeaway from McDonald's or Pizza Hut or whatever it is, and then they will eat fast, and because they want to go back to work and finish the work fast so that they can go back home. But the thing is, once you get home, you're so tired that you will want to go out and eat again, and this is the cause of us becoming obese. This is the cause of us become overweight and fat. It's not good for us at all. If you spend your time chewing slower, all you have to do is chew slower. If you chew slower and enjoy your meal a bit and be less distracted by your work and your environments, the chances are there's a big chance that you will lose weight. Here's a story from the doctor who recorded this. He had a patient who came in, and he loves his burgers for lunch. He loves his burgers, all right? But the thing is, what he used to do is he used to drive into the burger, order 2 burgers, and he'll eat in the car before he goes back to his work in the afternoon. Hi, Andrew, welcome on board. And what happens is he gained weight. Over a period of about 8 years, he gained about 50 pounds. So when he came to see this doctor, the doctor told him, okay, do yourself a favor. You can still eat your 2 burgers for your lunch, But you need to do the following thing. I don't want you to be eating in your car. I don't want you to go through your drive-thru. I want you to go into the restaurant itself, sit down and enjoy your 2 burgers before you get up and then drive back to work. So what he did is he sat down and enjoyed his 2 burgers, and in about 1 week's time, he stopped eating the burgers because he just didn't like the taste of the burgers. He said to the doctor that they tasted like shit. And the reason is, when we are eating fast, we don't recognize what food we are eating because we are always distracted by what else we are doing instead of the food. So we do not know what we are eating, we don't enjoy the food we are eating, and thus what happens is we end up eating more. Hi, Mr. Han, how are you? Welcome on board. And what happens is, this is the main reason that we become fat, because we don't know what we are eating and we don't know what we're putting into our bodies. And because we're not tasting the food, we don't enjoy the food. So what happens is we end up eating more. So don't do this, all right? I need you to slow down and enjoy the food, enjoy what you are eating. Spend more time with your family, spend more time talking to each other. Even in the American society, people love to eat together as a family, right? But because they're not cooking the food, they order takeout, they order pizza, they order all the stuff, which is not good for you. High in carbs, high in processed foods. You're not eating whole foods. Eat whole foods. Do simple recipes. It takes less than 10 minutes to cook a salmon with asparagus and mushrooms and have half an avocado with it, and you have a very healthy meal. Instead of ordering a takeout and you wait for 30 minutes for the food to arrive. Don't do this. Enjoy your meal with your family. Have a good meal with your family. Cook simple meals which are easy to cook. There are lots and lots of recipes on my good friend Google. Google it, YouTube it, and you'll find lots of recipes there. Thank you again for being on Lunchtime with Hirok. I've explained to you the difference between the sumo wrestler myth and the French paradox myth. And I've told you a few examples of how both these things make a person fat. So if you find this to be of benefit to you as an educational piece, please share it with all your friends and family. Please share it with all your friends on your timeline, and put up thumbs up and hearts to say that you like this talk, and thank you for being on. Have a great afternoon and have a great night. Signing off and saying goodbye from Hirok here. I'm here to help you understand nutrition and health. Have a good day. Bye-bye.